In this lesson of Bite-Size Buddhism, we explore how the idea of the world comes about in our consciousness. How we perceive the world in this episode is based on Buddhist view. It is not confined to Buddhist teachings at all. This is a rational breakdown of how we experience the world through our senses and perception. One of my favorite Buddhist teachers was a Sri Lankan monk, the late Bhante Punyaji. He was a skilled scholar and meditator. This is one of my favorite quotes from him. He said, "Some religions say we exist because we are born. In Buddhism, we are born because we exist." Let's go a little deeper into what he means. In the last two lessons, we talked about the 5 aggregates that when combined make up our personalities. These 5 aggregates also contribute to how we experience the world. Let's break them down and have a closer look. The Buddha said, sentient beings who perceive the visible become established in the visible. This means we only take what is visible to our senses as reality. Buddhists chant homage to the Buddha. Thus indeed is that Blessed One. He is the Holy One, fully enlightened, endowed with clear vision and virtuous conduct, sublime, the knower of the worlds, the incomparable leader of men to be tamed, the teacher of gods and men, enlightened and blessed. The Buddha was a teacher of gods and men, and also the knower of the worlds. Knower of the worlds means that he knew how worlds arise in our experience and how it ceases as well. There are 5 senses we use to perceive the world, and they are the eyes, nose, ears, tongue, and body. In Buddhism, there is one more sense object, and the Buddha called our thinking mind or brain a sense object. These senses need to come in contact with their corresponding object. The eye sees forms, the nose smells scent, the ears hear sound, the tongue tastes. Our body comes in touch with things. And the mind? What about the mind? The mind comes into contact with ideas. Ideas we were taught since the day we were able to cognize, such as names of plants, animals, languages, math, to ideas from other people or even the news. In turn, the sense union with these objects produces this consciousness. Consciousness is our awareness of each object. When our eyes come in contact with forms, there is the awareness that there is eye consciousness. When nose comes in contact with scent, there is the awareness of, there is a nose consciousness. There is the sound and ears, and when they come together, it produces the ear consciousness. Taste and tongue produces tongue consciousness. Body and touch produces body consciousness. And mind, with its ideas, produces mind consciousness. All the senses in union with their objects become sense consciousness, which is perceived by the mind, and it proceeds to churn out ideas or mental formations, also known as volition. What mental formations or volitions do we have most of the time? Volition is mental intention or our will to act. Our mind produces ideas of likes and dislikes. I like something, so I keep doing it. I don't like something, I run away from it. There is the want and don't want, which is linked to like and dislike. We want something because we like it. We don't want something, and so we avoid it or we don't talk about it. Pleasure and pain is also related to likes and dislikes, want and don't want. If you see, they are all the same thing. We go towards pleasure like moth to fire and avoid pain by running away from things we dislike, such as ill health. Why are we afraid of ill health? Because we have the idea of life and death, and therefore we like life, but we don't want and dislike death. The Buddha said that these ideas or mental formations, clinging to one thing as life and rejecting death, cessation, wanting pleasures, and not wanting pain brings about pain, sorrow, grief, lamentation, and despair, and they can all be classed under stress. Does stress make you comfortable or uncomfortable? And this is how we become established in the visible by these senses and produce these ideas of the visible. Let's take a closer look at each aggregate and their different functions. The body consists of breath and the four elements made up of earth, water, fire, and air. The function of sensations is our experience of pleasurable feelings, neutral feelings, and painful feelings. The function of perception is connection, and according to an accomplished Thai master, he said it also has the function of memory. Once we perceive something through our senses, we start to form mental images and ideas. Mental formations are mental activities or the movement of thoughts. Mental formation causes karma. Karma means action. Action causes the rebirth of our world of daily experiences. Consciousness has the function of awareness or attention. Since mental formations forms karma, let's take a little deeper look into it. The mind consciousness or awareness of ideas is best described by the French philosopher René Descartes. He said, "I think, therefore I am." Here, he is identifying his awareness of the mind as the I, or the self, or me. This runs counter to what the Buddha taught, that the five aggregates are not I, me, or myself. There is a good example where a disciple of the Buddha named Sati, who said consciousness is the equivalent of a self or a soul. Sati said, "It is consciousness that transmigrates and wanders about." The Buddha asked, "What do you mean by consciousness?" Sati said, "It is that which expresses, feels, experiences the results of good and bad deeds, here and now." The Buddha told Sati off and said, "To whomever have you heard me expounding the doctrine in this manner?" He further explained, "Consciousness is named according to whatever condition through which it arises. With the condition of I am visible forms arises visual consciousness, so on and so forth." He then gave another example of how consciousness arises. Fire that burns on the condition of wood is called wood fire. Fire that burns on conditions of straws is called straw fire. The Buddha was unequivocal when he said, "Consciousness has matter as its support and means. Consciousness has feelings as its support and means. Consciousness has perception and mental formation as its support and means. And through this support and means, consciousness grows into delight." The Buddha said, "Were a man to say, 'I shall show the coming, the going, the passing away, the arising, the growth, the increase or the development of consciousness apart from matter, sensation, perception and mental formations,' he would be speaking of something that does not exist." Remember these schools of thought we shared in the last lesson? We said that these schools of thoughts are not what Buddhist view is all about. So, Buddhism is not materialistic or nihilistic. A materialist is one who identifies with the body, and once the body is gone, nothing is left over, not even a soul. By saying that consciousness cannot arise without the support of the senses, it feels as if Buddhism falls under this view, but it does not, because Buddhism recognizes the world of sense experience. And also, there is karma and rebirth in Buddhism. Does it then belong to the view of eternalism? It also does not belong to the view of the eternalists because consciousness is not so. Remember, consciousness cannot exist without the senses as its support and means. The reason there is karma and rebirth in Buddhism is that there are the processes of experience. Without an I or a soul, it does not stop the processes going on in your body, such as if your eyes can see. Without the soul or a self, it does not prevent your eye from seeing. Without the soul or self, it does not prevent the ear from hearing or the body from touching. Not having a soul does not stop the experience or the processes of experience. Therefore, the idea of a soul or a self is not necessary. Our processes of experience is just a part of nature. Please do not believe or disbelieve what you learned in this lesson. If what is shared here resonates with you, please find more information regarding the Buddha's teaching. See you in the next lesson.